At the 2022 Abu Dhabi GP, Formula One legend Sebastian Vettel took part in the last Grand Prix of his career. So stay tuned as we take a look at the illustrious and amazing career of the four-time world champion. Norbert and Heike Vettel welcomed Sebastian into the world on July 3, 1987 in Heppenheim, West Germany. He has two older sisters, Melanie, a dental technician, and Stephanie, a physiotherapist for children with disabilities, and one younger brother, Fabian, who's also a racing driver. Vettel's passion for the tracks and races arose due to the influence of his father Norbert, who was a karting professional. Norbert gave Vettel his first kart when he was just 3 years old. He began competing in his city's formal events when he was just 8 years old, taking home many titles. The German Junior Karting Championship, Monaco Kart Cup, and European Junior Karting Championship were among the titles Vettel won throughout his 8 years of karting. He finished 6th in the Senior ICA Kart Championship in 2002 before switching to car racing. He finished 2nd in the 2003 Formula BMW Germany Championship. The following year, at the age of 17, he emphatically won the title with 18 victories from 20 races and 387 points out of a possible 400. The following season, he finished 5th in the Formula 3 Euro Series. Lewis Hamilton and ASM dominated the championship, while Vettel's ASL team didn't win a single race, even though he was talented. At age 18, Vettel made his F1 testing debut for the Williams team thanks to his ties with BMW. He also participated in the 2006 Formula Renault 3.5 Series, winning his first 2 races at Misano. In the next round at Spa-Francorchamps, his finger was almost sliced off by flying debris following an accident, and he was expected to be out for several weeks. Nevertheless, he managed to compete in the 2006 Masters of Formula 3 at Zandvoort the following weekend, where he finished in 6th place. Vettel competed in the 2007 Formula Renault 3.5 Series and took his first win at the Nürburgring. When the BMW Sauber Formula One team called him up on a permanent basis, he was in the lead in the championship. BMW. Vettel became BMW Sauber's third driver at the 2006 Turkish Grand Prix when former incumbent Robert Kubica replaced Jacques Villeneuve as the second driver for the 2006 Hungarian Grand Prix. Vettel scored the fastest time in the second Friday free practice on his testing debut. At 19 years and 53 days, Sebastian Vettel was the youngest Formula One driver to compete in a Grand Prix weekend. Vettel broke another record when he received his first fine 9 seconds into his career because he went above the pit lane speed limit while on his way to the track. He began the 2007 season racing in the World Series by Renault, but when Kubica was injured during the Canadian Grand Prix, Vettel stood in for him at Indianapolis and finished 8th, becoming the youngest driver to earn a championship point. Kubica made a comeback at the next race, but Vettel was given another opportunity to race in Formula One later that year. Toro Rosso. BMW released Vettel in July 2007 so that he could join Red Bull Scuderia Toro Rosso and replace Scott Speed from the 2007 Hungarian Grand Prix onwards. While running an excellent third in the wet Japanese Grand Prix, Vettel collided with fellow Red Bull driver Mark Webber during a safety car period. Webber had a potential victory in his sights, but Vettel's collision affected his chance of winning the race. Vettel redeemed himself at the next race in China, again in wet conditions, where he finished 4th. 2008 season. After 4 races of the 2008 season, Vettel was the only driver to have failed to finish a single race, having retired on the first lap in 3 of them. At the Monaco Grand Prix, Vettel scored his first points of the season, with a 5th place finish after qualifying 17th. At the wet Italian Grand Prix, Vettel became the youngest driver in history to win a Formula One Grand Prix, aged 21 years and 74 days. He led for the majority of the Grand Prix and crossed the finish line 12.5 seconds ahead of McLaren's Heikki Kovalainen. That was Toro Rosso's only win that season. Early in the weekend, he'd already become the youngest pole sitter. Vettel was named 2008 Rookie of the Year at the Autosport Awards. Red Bull. Beginning with the 2009 season, Vettel took over Red Bull racing from the departed David Coulthard, but things didn't go well for him to start the 2009 season. He overstepped the line while running in 2nd place at Melbourne, and Kubica crashed into him as a result. Vettel received a grid penalty from the officials for the following race in Malaysia, where he also failed to score. He went on to take pole position and the race win at the Chinese Grand Prix, Red Bull Racing's maiden pole and win. Thereafter, victories in Abu Dhabi, Japan and Great Britain followed. He started from pole position and led every lap to win the Japanese Grand Prix. Vettel won the inaugural Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the first ever day-night race, to finish second in the World Drivers' Championship standings behind Jenson Button. He also scored his third fastest lap of the year, drawing him level with teammate Mark Webber. However, as Vettel had more second fastest laps, he won the 2009 DHL Fastest Lap Award. 2010 season. Red Bull carried their form into 2010 and Vettel should have won the year's first two races, but he was hit with car problems while leading in Bahrain and Australia. He did manage to win in Malaysia, but his teammate Webber quickly took the championship lead after a run of victories in the middle of the season. Not only were Vettel's car issues frustrating, but he also made some costly errors. At Istanbul, he struck Webber, and at Spa-Francorchamps, he collided with Jenson Button. Nevertheless, he rarely started a race outside of the front row and did so in 10 of the 19 events. He found a good vein of success toward the end of the season, winning in Brazil and Japan and leading until his engine failed in Korea. Vettel trailed Alonso by 15 points and Webber by 7 points heading into the season finale in Abu Dhabi, won the Grand Prix from pole to become the youngest World Drivers' Champion in the sport's history, as Alonso only finished in 7th place. Following John Surtees in the 1964 season and James Hunt in 1976, this was the third time in Formula One history that the title winner had not topped the championship table until after the last race. 2011 season. Vettel extended his contract with Red Bull till the end of 2014, just before the 2011 season began. Once more, the RB7 was the best car on the track, and this time Vettel used it to outclass his competitors. He won 11 races out of 19 starts, setting a record for most pole positions in a season. He had 15 pole positions. With 4 races left, he claimed the championship. Vettel significantly outperformed teammate Webber, who managed just one victory in the final race of the season in Brazil, while Vettel experienced a rare gearbox issue. Vettel became the first driver to win back-to-back world championships since Fernando Alonso in 2006. 2012 season. Following a season-long duel with Alonso, Vettel was able to successfully defend his championship once more in 2012. Changes in the technical rules left Red Bull fighting a rearguard action in the opening races. Vettel started the 2012 season with a second place at the Australian Grand Prix before he finished outside the points in Malaysia following a collision with backmarker Narain Karthikeyan. Vettel crossed the line in first place at the Bahrain Grand Prix to go top of the championship standings. But while Red Bull tried to make progress with their RDB8, Vettel slipped behind in the title battle and Alonso seized the opportunity. A potential win in Valencia was lost due to alternator failure. At other tracks, Webber had clearly got to grips with a new car more quickly. Another alternator failure in Italy cost him points in a race he had already compromised by picking up a penalty while dicing with Alonso. He made a similar mistake with Button in Germany, but Vettel's season began to turn around after the summer break. A strong drive in Belgium produced a useful second-place finish. Vettel then went on to win in Singapore. After that, he won 4 straight races. Having taken the championship lead from Alonso, Vettel's run of success faltered. He was sent to the back of the grid for a technical infringement in Abu Dhabi, but impressively recovered to finish on the podium. Hamilton pinched victory off him in America, and he went into the championship's final round with a 13-point margin over Alonso. At Interlagos, Vettel spun out on lap 1 and was forced to finish the race in a damaged vehicle. The fact that he managed to finish in 6th place while Alonso could only achieve 2nd allowed Vettel to claim the 2012 F1 Championship. 2013 season. In 2013, Vettel continued his title streak. Vettel qualified at pole position for the first 2 races of the 2013 season, and at the Malaysian Grand Prix, he outpaced teammate Webber by more than 2.5 seconds in a wet qualifying session. He won the race though, not without controversy. Vettel ignored the team orders and passed Webber for the lead. His championship advantage was reduced at the British Grand Prix as a result of gearbox failure after victories in Bahrain and Canada. Vettel recovered to capture his first German race victory. After he finished 3rd in Hungary, Vettel won the last 9 races of the season, including Grand Slams in Singapore and Korea. Vettel set the record for most consecutive race wins with 9, and he became only the third man after Alberto Ascari and Jim Clark to take consecutive Grand Slams. 2014 season. Vettel's championship run came to an end as a result of a significant change in the technical rules. Red Bull and especially its engine supplier Renault were not well prepared for the changeover to the V6 hybrid turbo engines. Vettel, meanwhile, also had trouble getting the most out of the RB11. New teammate Daniel Ricciardo fared much better, and on the occasions when the dominant Mercedes cars were beatable, it was he, not Vettel, who capitalised. In the championship standings, Vettel dropped to 5th. Red Bull and Vettel parted company at the Japanese Grand Prix, and it was later reported that Vettel would be taking Alonso's place at Ferrari. 2015 season. With no race victories in 2014, Ferrari had an even less competitive season than Red Bull, but in 2015, the team saw a turnaround. The red cars were in contention for victory far sooner than anticipated after fixing some of the basic flaws of their initial V6 hybrid turbo. And Vettel was leading the way. Vettel won in Malaysia, but that wasn't the start of a championship bid. Vettel could not consistently steal points away from Mercedes because they were simply too powerful. He was, however, by far their closest rival. More victories followed in Singapore and Hungary, with the latter coming as a result of the Ferrari once more outperforming the Mercedes on a hot circuit with soft rubber. Vettel even headed Nico Rosberg's Mercedes in the point standings until the latter stages of the year. He was ultimately forced to settle for 3rd. 2016 season. Ferrari's second year was only aptly characterised as disappointing. After a 3rd place finish at the 2016 Australian Grand Prix, Vettel's participation in Bahrain ended without starting as his car broke down on the formation lap. At the Chinese Grand Prix, Vettel collided with teammate Raikkonen on the first lap, but both were able to continue. Vettel retired on the first lap at the Russian Grand Prix after 2 consecutive collisions with Kvyat. Max Verstappen of Red Bull attempted to pass Sebastian Vettel at the Mexican Grand Prix. However, after Verstappen slid off the track and rejoined ahead of him, Vettel angrily abused both Verstappen and race director Charlie Whiting, for which he later offered an apology. Vettel then moved into the braking zone and obstructed Red Bull's Ricciardo, earning him a 10-second time penalty and 2 license points. Vettel finished on 7 podiums during the season, although he failed to claim any victories that season. 2017 season. Ferrari made a wise choice by concentrating its 2016 development program on the 2017 season, which saw the implementation of new aerodynamic regulations. Vettel led the championship in the year's first half, and the team got off to a solid start. Vettel had a controversial run-in with Hamilton in Azerbaijan. Vettel swerved into Hamilton's side, making contact, thinking Hamilton had brake tested him behind the safety car. He was fortunate to escape with no more than a stop-go penalty, and luckier still to end the race ahead of Hamilton, who had to pit due to a loose headrest. However, Vettel's chances of winning the championship were dashed in the last run of flyaway races. In Singapore, he won the pole position, but his action caused a 3-car accident that damaged both Ferraris as well as Max Verstappen's Red Bull. Vettel's technical difficulties in Japan all but ended his chances. Hamilton ultimately clinched the title in Mexico, but Vettel grabbed a final win in Brazil. 2018 season. The signs were good at the beginning of 2018. Ferrari had clearly closed the horsepower gap to Mercedes, and Vettel started the season with back-to-back wins in Australia and Bahrain. After easily defeating Mercedes in Canada, it appeared that Vettel was finally on track to win the 5th championship he'd been vying for the previous 5 years. But it never happened, largely as a result of his mistakes. In France, he collided with Bottas, had a grid penalty in Austria, and worst of all, he damaged his SF71H while leading on his home track. And it didn't stop there. Having wrested victory from Hamilton at Spa, he squandered points by tangling with his rival on lap 1 at Monza. This began a trend. He did the same with Verstappen in Japan and Ricciardo in Austin. That left his championship hopes in tatters, and Hamilton duly finished the job in Mexico. 2019 season. The opening weekend proved difficult, however, as Vettel qualified some 7/10 off pole position in 3rd and finished the race in 4th place. 3rd place finishes in China and Azerbaijan followed as Mercedes continued to dominate. Vettel took pole position in Canada, his first pole in 17 races. Midway through the race, a snap of oversteer caused him to run wide onto the grass. Vettel received a 5-second time penalty from the steward, Vettel crossed the line in first place but lost his victory as a result of the penalty. At the Singapore Grand Prix, Vettel won on a circuit Ferrari were expected to struggle at. For the first time, Vettel had won 5 times on the same track. In the following race in Russia, Vettel went from 3rd place on the grid to 1st place in the first corner. He finished 5th in the World Drivers' Championship. 2020 season. Ferrari announced in early 2020 that they wouldn't extend Sebastian Vettel's contract beyond the 2020 campaign. The COVID-19 epidemic caused the first 10 races on the initial schedule to be either rescheduled, postponed, or cancelled entirely, which caused the 2020 season to be delayed. After pre-season testing, Ferrari found issues with their vehicle, which compelled them to undertake a significant redesign. Vettel finished the season's opening race in Austria in 10th place due to the SF1000's lack of speed. After colliding with Leclerc in the opening lap of the Styrian Grand Prix, the next event, Vettel had to withdraw due to damage to his rear wing. His best finish was a 3rd place in Turkey, which put him in a disappointing 13th place overall in the drivers' standings. Ferrari's 6th place finish in the constructors' standings was their poorest since 1980, while Vettel's 33 points were the fewest in his Formula 1 career for a full season. Aston Martin, 2021 to 2022 seasons. For the 2021 season, Vettel replaced Sergio Perez at Aston Martin. He was given a grid penalty in qualifying for his first race weekend in Bahrain, which made him start last. Although Vettel got a strong start, he finished in 15th after colliding with Esteban Ocon and incurring a time penalty. He received 5 penalty points on his super license. Vettel earned his first team points with a 5th place result at Monaco in the 5th race of the year. He earned Aston Martin's maiden podium position with a 2nd place finish at the next event, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. In Hungary, Vettel also came in 2nd, but he was later disqualified because his vehicle didn't deliver the mandatory 1-litre fuel sample. He finished the year ahead of teammate Stroll in the driver standings in 12th place. Vettel won the first overtake award for making the most overtakes during the season with 132, more than any other driver. After testing positive for COVID-19, Vettel was forced to sit out the opening 2 races of the 2022 season in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. Nico Hülkenberg, the reserve driver for Aston Martin, took his place. Vettel declared in July 2022 that he would leave Formula 1 at the conclusion of the 2022 campaign. Vettel ended the 2022 season with 37 points, finishing in the 12th position. And there you have it, the legendary career of Sebastian Vettel in Formula 1. What do you think of Vettel's F1 driving career? Let us know in the comment section below. That's all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always get to watch more amazing videos like this. We at 5 Second Penalty have got you covered on the latest topics. See you in the next video.